Hello, everyone. Thank you all again for joining me on another SCP-Saturdays. On this episode, we'll be going over SCP-3660. Object Class Safe. Notice from Site-64 Facilities and Containment Administrations. Experimentation with this item has been placed on hold until further notice. Please direct any concerns regarding either SCP-3660 or its COMARP G2AU authorization to Senior Researcher Dr. Eldrick Hasten, Dr. Melina Lopez, Assistant Director of Facilities, and Sophia Turner, Assistant Director of Containment. Special Containment Procedures. SCP-3660 is to be kept in a standard secure locker at Site-64. Personal handling of SCP-3660 are required to wear gloves. Updated. Personal handling of SCP-3660 are required to wear a full-body hazardous materials suit in the event of accidental implantation. Local anesthesia may be applied to the surrounding tissue, but 3660 must be surgically removed from the epidermis as soon as possible. Description: SCP-3660 is a black metallic zipper, similar to those found on sweaters and backpacks. The item is in poor condition, and a significant amount of its paint has been ground off. The metal is warped, and half of it is snapped and missing, appearing wrenched off. SCP-3660 is non-anomalous and inert until it is pressed against the skin of a human being. The amount of pressure applied can be disregarded when considering an implantation event. In a manner not dissimilar to a magnetic attraction, SCP-3660 will gravitate into a subject if held lightly against their skin. In the event of implantation, SCP-3660 will sink into the flesh until only the pull tab is visible. While subjects have reported feeling an itch at this location, significant pain is rarely reported. Major distress has only been observed in subjects already aware of 3660's effects. Within 10 minutes, 3660 will activate and unzip the host's skin by dragging itself across the epidermis before detaching from the skin. While the result opening varies in size between subjects, it is presumed dependent on the size of the new organism within. It is consistently aligned with the metallic zipper teeth. This process not only hollows the subject, but also gives their skin the consistency of composition of silicone rubber. Extreme shifts in the mass have occurred. What SCP-3660 exactly does to the subject's viscera is currently unknown. SCP-3660 activates, an animal will be synthesized inside the skin. This transfiguration is instantaneous and theoretically would cause massive investments of energy. The friction involved in the destruction and creation of cells at this speed would generate heat high enough to boil blood and damage cells. SCP-3660 bypasses this process entirely beyond a small amount of steam expelled from the skin's opening. There is no indications that the energy dynamics have occurred at all. As of blank experiments, only amatids, cephalopods, and chirothectines have been created by SCP-3660, utilizing species from the biological groupings of presumed non-viable testing. As of whether SCP-3660 creates species at random or in accordance to an undiscovered pattern is ongoing / is pending approval. While a subject immediately post-transfiguration may initially display shock or animalistic behavior, arresting to the contrary, the human identity is relatively intact. Transfigured subjects are consistently capable of confirming their identities through various methods, such as standard memory tests, simple communication through gestures, and when applicable, written testimony. However, it is inaccurate to state that SCP-3660 does not functionally alter the subject. Transfigured subjects adapt a natural proficiency in operating their new forms. Examples include fin propelled locomotion in water, winged flight, prehensile tail manipulation, venom injection, courtship rituals, and internal heat regulations. Furthermore, subjects may experience a supplanting of specific, albeit now incapable, aspects of their humanity in order to accommodate species specific traits. These new instincts and behaviors are not necessarily compulsive nor overpowering, depending on the individual. Constructions of the new subject's human identity can be easily maintained with minimal devotion, even unconsciously so, while others may have their identities steadily eroded away without professional intervention. Currently, the change in diet and mating urges are reported to be the most difficult to resist, according to 94.7 and 59.2 of the cumulated subject pool, respectively. The transformation is currently irreversible. Testing into this is ongoing, however. SCP-3660 COMARP Interrogation. The Collaborative Materials and Research Project has accepted Proposal 048 submitted by Dr. Scartliff, and this item is now cleared for COMARP General Acoustic and Use Authorization. As such, subjects transfigured by SCP-3660 may be acquired or temporarily utilized in other research teams. Usage of SCP-3660 subjects, as of other resources attached to COMARP GA2 UA authorization, requires satisfaction of the following requirements. 1. Applications of use acquisition must be provided by the applicant's team, senior researcher personnel, and inform either long or short-term plans for requested materials depending on proposed duration of use. 2. Applications must be approved by administrative personnel responsible for the applicant's site before submission. Applications that fail this requirement will be automatically denied by the appropriate administration will be notified. 3. The supplying team research team must approve of this application through the relevant COMARP license for SCP-3660. This is Dr. Stephanie Scartliff / Dr. Aldrich Hasten's responsibilities. Incident 3660 2AE-1. Incident report following Test 3660-012. Dr. Scartliff and Dr. Leverich entered the testing area to measure any compositional changes to SCP-3660. Experimental procedures current at the time, necessitated only by wearing the gloves and through briefing on how the item was to be handled. Dr. Lartrich held SCP-3660 with tongs, and Dr. Scartliff gathered data. 3 minutes after interaction began, a high-voltage circuit breaker, located several meters away from the testing chamber, short-circuited, resulted in a power outage on the F-wing, which lasted approximately 10 seconds before backup systems activated. Upon a review of testimonies provided by both parties, character witnesses, Dr. Leverich was determined to have reacted poorly to the sudden loss of light and accompanying noises, described it as a small pop by Dr. Scartliff and as a small explosion by Dr. Leverich. SCP-3660 was unintentionally embedded in Dr. Scartliff's right cheek. 3660 activated in 3 minutes and 8 seconds. Both parties were treated for shock and a king cobra bite. By appropriately, Dr. Leverich has ever since been reprimanded and reassigned to general research. Despite Dr. Hansen's recommendations, Dr. Scartliff has been allowed to return to her duties, provided she accepts routine psychological therapy, evaluations, and the necessary revisions on her employment contract. Test log SCP-3660 Test 177 Subject 87026, male, 34 years old, 2.2 meters tall, and 73.2 kilograms. Protocol. Subject was stripped and locked in the center of the testing area via ankle locks, and arms were restrained. And research personnel embedded 3660 into the subject's chest. Testing area was evacuated following implantation of the subject was monitored. Results. SCP-3660 activated in at 8 minutes and 24 seconds after implantation. At this point, view of SCP-3660 was obstructed by the emergence of a blue whale, causing severe structural damage to the chamber and adjacent substructures. 3660 and the 87026 were successfully recovered during the recontainment efforts. Notes. All testing involving 3660 was ordered to cease, and an investigation into Dr. Scartliff was initiated following the discovery and discrepancies between Dr. Scartliff's unedited experiment logs and those she submitted to 3660's official databanks. Interview log 3660 ISI-04. Interviewer, Senior Researcher Dr. Aldrich Hassan. Interviewed, Researcher Dr. Stephanie Scartliff. Forward. Interview conducted by Dr. Hansen following the conclusion of the Research and Information Security Administration's investigation of Experiment T-177. Dr. Scartliff has been given a text-to-speech synthesizer operating a touchscreen keyboard. Key size has been resized appropriately to Dr. Scartliff's snout. Begin log. Hassan, have you gotten used to the program yet? Scartliff, the program is fine. Voice is robotic. Accent is wrong. Hassan, it'll do until the custom one is finished. Scartliff, I'll be brief. We're stopping experimentation on 3660. Scartliff, no, why? Hassan, I hear it has something to do with the whale that materialized in the middle of this facility. Don't flap that hood at me, Dr. Scartliff. Don't you dare. You want to know what just landed in my inbox over lunch? Or better yet, do you want to know what the containment teams found hidden away in storage? Animals. Everywhere. So why don't we talk about concealing experiments? Why don't you give me something to say when a big bad suit comes here, asks exactly why we're running a zoo down here? Scartliff, tell him he's been to some pathetically small zoos. It's long-term research, all recovered. Hansen, did we recover them all? No, we're getting rid of them. All 177, for fuck's sake, Steph. My official record states that we haven't even reached 80 tests, and I was recommending that you slow down even then. 177 people in less than 2 months. You can shout and hiss long-term research all you want, but I don't buy it for a second. That's a production line. Scartliff, wrong. Long-term research. Still more discover. Reversal, maybe. Hansen, yes, reversal, I know. We've done all the testing we can do on that damn zipper. After its use, you might actually get new data if you dedicated your time to studying the subjects already affected, rather than creating your own little ecosystem. Scartliff, redundant. I can do that myself by keeping a diary. Look, the COMRP just got new materials, relevant materials. I already ordered what I need to add skin graft variable into next 5 tests. Authorize those last tests at least. Hansen, no, enough. Stop typing and listening to me. The decision to halt experimentation's already been made. If you keep trying to justify why this needs to keep happening even after all that's happened, I'll be convinced that you've lost it and will happily step out of the way of the shitstorm hurtling right for you. Scartliff, I'm a bloody snake, Hansen. Hansen, look, Steph, I don't know what it's like to be like you, and I'm sorry for what happened. Understand that, if nothing else. Scartliff, not your fault. Twitchy idiot's fault. Hansen, they wanted to shut you down earlier, you know. We all know that Zipper's roulette wheel will eventually going to stop on something problematic. I expected at the end would come as an apex predator controlled by a mass murderer. Scartliff, personally affected psycho elephant? Pause. Hansen, how long do king cobras live? Scartliff, not very long. Could be more provided optimal conditions. Hansen, do you know how much time you have left? Scartliff, no. Effects of 3660 on lifespan is ongoing. Not even necessary if reversal is found. Do not stop experimentation, please. Hansen, then why would you sabotage yourself by when a big bad comes down here? I'll talk about mitigation. You have a bit of bargaining credit. Agreeing to donate animals with human intelligence to other teams has given you a small mountain of goodwill, especially from the folks studying. Redacted. But even then, the well will have to go, obviously. A lot of the others, too. But I might be able to convince the director to allow experimentation on some of the current low maintenance subjects. No promises, though. Scartliff, thank you. Hanson, hold on to that for a bit. If I do get testing continue, I'll arrange for a preterminate developments to be forwarded to you. Scartliff, why? I'll be overseeing. Hanson, no, you won't. SCP-3660 is fundamentally my project, and I don't want you anywhere near it. I'm going to recommend that you be transferred. Where exactly, I don't know, and I can't say I particularly care. But that's better than getting your brain flossed and then being dumped into a reserve in Southeast Asia. You can leave now. Oh, and one more thing, Scartliff. You don't have to come back to the table. I don't want a response. The people who helped you hide away all those other experiments, they'll be eating the bullet you dodged. If I succeed, keep that in mind wherever you end up. Now you can leave. Good luck. End log. Closing statement. Site 64 has since authorized Dr. Hansen's recommendations. 98% of 3660's transfigured subjects are to be either donated to the COMRP or released into the wild following the induced and controlled eradication of the human identity while leaving the animalistic traits intact. Testing with the remaining 2% of transfigured subjects are to be allowed to resume once SCP-3660's research team has been appropriately restaffed. Dr. Scartliff has been reassigned. Hello everyone, this is the Sleeping Wendigo, and I would like to thank you all again for joining me on another SCP-Saturdays. If you did, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And as always, I will see you all next time.